Hi there, this is Jeff, and I'm going to walk you through how to get the artwork ready for the 24-inch wide Econo Roll Banner Stand. And what I'm going to do is actually open up the template in Photoshop here. And when that opens, you want to make sure of a couple things before you get started. One, you want to make sure that it's in CMYK mode, which you can see right here it is. If it's not, if it's, let's say, in RGB mode, you can change it by going to Image and Mode, and then make sure it's selected on CMYK. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the resolution is set to 125 dpi, since this is a full-size template. And you can do that, you can check that by going to Image and Image Size, and then under Resolution here we can see that it is set at 125 dpi, which is correct. So once we have that in place, we're ready to go ahead and get started. One thing to point out is that you want to keep the template as its own separate layer on the right hand side. So under the layers here, you can see that here's the template layer, and you want to keep it separate. So when you begin adding in all your design elements like your logos and your text and pictures, just keep the template by itself, because in the end when you're all done, you're either going to hide it or you're going to delete it. So to get started, what you can do is go to File and Place, and you can begin adding in your logos and your pictures, and you can start writing your text and everything else. And what I want to do is point out a couple things on the template here. The graphic size is 24 inches wide and 80 inches tall. So in addition to the 80 inches tall, you also have a 6-inch bleed on the bottom here. So go ahead and extend your background or any colors in the background all the way into the bleed area, but make sure to keep any text or anything important at least a couple inches away from this line right here. So move it up a little bit. You don't want it too low, otherwise you run the risk of it not being seen or it actually being inside of the banner stand a little bit. And that's essentially just an area where it gets installed into the actual hardware stand. And as far as the trim, it's actually hand trimmed, and that's why you don't see any extra bleed around the perimeter here. So what I'm gonna do now is show you an example of some artwork that fits the template really well, and this will give you an example of what we're looking for. Okay, so here's an example of some artwork that fits the template really well, and I know that because if I go to the right-hand side here on the artwork layer and I right-click and I go to blending options, I can change the opacity down and I can actually see that the template is right underneath it, so it fits it perfectly. And remember the bleed on the bottom, we can see that the background go ahead and extends all the way into it, but there's not anything important like text or anything like that. So once we know it looks good, we can go ahead and click out of there. And at this point, what you want to do is you want to check the resolution of all your images and your logos and everything else to make sure that nothing is going to be printed out pixelated. And you can do that by pressing Control and plus on a PC or Command and plus on a Mac. And you can zoom all the way in until about 1 inch equals 1 inch in real life. So here's 10 inches and here's 11, and that's about the distance of 1 inch in real life. And what you can do is use the navigator tool on the right, and you can begin combing around, and you can check the resolution and make sure that everything is in focus and everything looks good. And if it's not, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and swap it out with some higher resolution images. So once we know that looks good, you can press Control and minus on a PC or Command and minus on a Mac and zoom all the way back out. And at this point, what you want to do is go ahead and save a copy of the working layered file. So this is the file that you can revert back to at any point in case you need to make any edits now or in the future. So once you've done that, you're ready to go ahead and either hide or delete that template layer we talked about, and you can just simply drag it into the trash can or hide it. And then you're left with one final step before saving it, and that is you want to flatten it. And you do that by going to Layer, and then you click Flatten. And so what that's going to do is it's going to compress all of your design layers into just one final document, and this is going to be the print ready file that you're going to use, and that's going to be printed off of. And so to go ahead and save it, what you do is you go to File, and then you click Save As, and you want to go ahead and save it as a high resolution or a high quality PDF. So just make sure that it's high quality and save it as a PDF, and that'll be a really great file that will be used to print off of with really great results. So if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask and let me know. Thanks.